As we've been saying, yeah, it's a witch hunt, but sometimes they burn the witches. Roger Severino is here, former Department of Justice trial attorney. He's the vice president of the Heritage Foundation. Mr. Severino, sir, if you don't mind, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Let's go big to small. What does this mean for the United States of America?
It is a shameful day in American history. And Alvin Bragg said, the voice of the 12 jurors matter. It's the voice of the people that matters. We've crossed a dangerous line. America's a different country today than it was yesterday. Now we've joined the ranks of shameful countries that are banana republics that try to jail their opponents instead of letting the people vote at the ballot box. This is a travesty. There are so many grounds of appeal. You had a sham trial with a biased judge, with a biased jury is what it appears to be, that the deck was stacked so hard against Trump that I think the American people are going to see right through this. They have pursued him with everything they could for the last couple years and waited until the precise moment to inflict as much political damage as possible, because what they fear most is President Trump retaking the White House and fixing the justice system, right? The left has weaponized the justice system in a way that has never been done before, and this is a body blow to our republic, and President Trump said it today. The real verdict is going to happen on November 5th, and this is now a fight for the Constitution. This is not even about Trump anymore. If it could happen to him, it could happen to you, it could happen to me.
Devil's advocate. Roger, what are you talking about? We have Donald Trump, a convicted felon now, who clearly broke the law. It was presented in front of a jury, and the jury said he broke the law, and now he's a felon. How can you support this man?
What was the law that was allegedly broken? The judge himself said there is a falsification of documents that had to be proven, and then an underlying crime that was supposedly furthered by this falsification of documents. What was the crime? Was it election interference? Was it campaign finance violations? Was it tax? The judge said it's up to the jury, and they could split. It doesn't have to be unanimous. 4 people could vote one way, 4 could vote the other, 4 could vote another way. That is a gross violation of due process of law. We have protections for defendants in this country. This is an unprecedented case that never would have been brought if the name of the defendant was anything other than Donald J. Trump. What did Alvin Bragg have him do? He had to say that there was some sort of election interference because of faulty bookkeeping. He was supposed to apparently say that this was a campaign expenditure, that hush money was a campaign expense. If he had said that in his books, they would have prosecuted him for that, for misappropriation of campaign funds. It just goes to show they were after him no matter what. They invented legal theories like the old Soviets used to say, show me the man, I'll show you the crime. America is better than that, but not today.
So I didn't go to law school, Roger, and I don't know how much of our audience has. Again, big to small. So what does it mean for America? What does this now mean for the justice system that we're supposed to be very proud of in this country?
All this is the weaponization of the justice system, right? Who's in control here? The American people voted to actually have some semblance of law and order when they had President Trump. And now you have this rigged system where Biden has supercharged the weaponization of the Department of Justice. They went after him on the Russia hoax. They even did that fake impeachment proceedings. And now they've gone after him for allegedly defrauding banks when there were no victims and hitting him with $450 million in penalties. When there are no victims, he paid all his bills. They went after him in Florida for documents. They went after him in Georgia for election issues, and after him in D.C. This is unrelenting weaponization of our justice system. The American people, I believe, are going to say enough is enough. This is not what America was founded on. We do not go after our political opponents and go throw them in jail and throw everything after them in order to derail them when it inflicts maximum political damage. That's exactly what we've seen here. This is a travesty of justice. So big to small, this hurts our Constitution. Small, it hurts the American people because they could be put at risk. In between, this is the election of President Trump. Who's going to be guiding our country in the next 4 years? Can Trump actually be able to run a campaign? There's a risk he could be put in jail tomorrow. We're going to find out soon what this judge is going to do, but we already know he was biased because he stacked the deck against him. Who knows where the bottom is?
Do you think this will help Donald Trump politically? By the way, we're talking with Roger Severino, former Department of Justice trial attorney and vice president of the Heritage Foundation. Do you think this will help Donald Trump, or do you think the walls are finally closing in, Roger? One of my favorite montages is like a 10-minute montage of the media saying the walls are closing in all the way back from 2017. Every day the walls are closing in. I mean, this is a jail cell. I don't know how big jail cells are these days. It's pretty small walls. But is this the end of Donald Trump and his political future?
Not in the slightest. President Trump has shown an extraordinary ability to rise above it all. He has been unsinkable. They've really tried to break the man. They've tried to bankrupt him. They've tried to put him in jail. They've tried to take him off the campaign trail. They've inflicted gag orders on him. They've done everything they can, and he keeps coming back. Not only does he keep coming back, he's ahead of Biden in the polls after everything they've done to him. I think, if anything, you'll see a bump. There's going to be such an outrage because people see right through it. This is a transparent attempt to interfere with the election. They want to deprive the people of the right to vote for who's going to be the one governing them for the next 4 years. And now Trump is the underdog, and the American people root for an underdog. Anybody, and you have minority communities, you have this in blue-collar poor communities, people who have had interaction with law enforcement and the court system, many of them have faced circumstances where they thought they didn't get a fair shake. They're going to be rallying to President Trump now, because many people have actually faced similar miscarriages of justice, not at this scale, but this is invented charges, and one of these stuck for the moment. And I say for the moment, because he has such strong grounds for appeal that if it goes up to the Supreme Court, I think they're going to say, you know what, our Constitution says you have a right to due process, criminals get the benefit of the doubt, and we do not settle our political disputes by trying to jail our opponents, which is exactly what has happened here.
It's a brilliant point that he's way ahead of the polls, but what this did now is still make him the underdog. So he's the underdog who's way ahead of the polls at the same time. I don't know if that's ever happened before. So what do you think Joe Biden will do and should do? I know the Heritage Foundation is not in the business of advising Joe Biden, but the word on the street is that he wanted to do an address to the nation after a verdict was reached, and even from the White House itself, so that it doesn't look like a political address. I'm like, what? How could that not look political? But that's as opposed to if it was literally a political rally. But an address from the nation, from the White House about this verdict. Is that wise from Joe Biden? And if he does it, what should he do? What could he do that would help him, help his campaign?
He has a lot of explaining to do because it is his base that has been pushing to put President Trump in jail. And this is a concerted effort. You see this in case after case. It can't be by pure happenstance that all these cases that could have been brought years ago are being brought now right before the eve of an election. If he has any real integrity, he'd come forward and say, you know what, this is a mistake, that this is a miscarriage of justice. This never should have happened. He's not going to do that because he gains politically, or at least he thinks he will. The last thing he wants to do is go on a debate stage and debate Donald Trump. The last thing he wants to do is defend his record of high inflation, of high crime, of open borders, of skyrocketing gas, home, rent prices, right? That's what he wants to avoid. He'd rather talk about, hey, look what happened in a rigged New York courthouse today. That's what he'd rather be talking about. He's not going to come and say anything good for the American people. He's not going to assuage them that we don't have a two-tiered system of justice. He's not going to say that we don't have a weaponized Department of Justice under his control because he's benefiting from it. So I don't expect much from President Biden here. If anything, he'll probably try to keep quiet and run his campaign from the basement as he's been doing for the last couple months.
Last question for you, Roger. If you were at Trump Tower right now and you bumped into Donald Trump and you had the opportunity to say one thing to him, what would you tell him right now?
That I think the American people see right through what's happening to him, and that if it's happening to him, it could happen to any of us. He was right to say that the Constitution now is under threat. He's right to say that the verdict that really matters is going to happen November 5th. He's right to say all of those things. It is shameful that we are at this point, and I'm hopeful that there will be an appeal, an ultimate fixing of this issue. And what's ultimately going to take to fix it systematically is for somebody like President Trump to take the reins of government to clean house and to make sure that those weapons that are pointed at the American people through our justice system is disarmed, right? That's the type of gun control we need. De-weaponize the justice system.
Roger Severino, former Department of Justice trial attorney, vice president of the Heritage Foundation. Roger, thanks for your time. Keep it up the good work.